Welcome to this presentation about Passivhaus components, which also work for retrofits. They are simple, energy efficient and reliable. And I will put a special focus on building services solutions. So that means solutions for heating, cooling, dehumidification, domestic hot water for the different climate zones of Brazil. Instead of a moderate, it's better to do a deep retrofit. So if you have to retrofit right now, then you do it with Passivhaus components. That means with a proper thickness of wall insulation to achieve, when the whole building step by step has been retrofitted with new components, to achieve a very high efficiency. For example, in 2050, or whenever you are done with the individual steps. This avoids critical lock-in effects and is a future-proof solution. We looked at this in the Eurofit project, an EU project from the European Union supported step-by-step deep retrofits with Passivhaus components, and we studied in the different countries, also in warm climates, how it can be done, and we saw that it's actually very easy and simple. We have on our website the latest certification criteria that you can download, and these criteria are not only for passive houses but also for retrofits with Passivhaus components, and also for so-called PHI low energy buildings, that are buildings that are very low energy, but they don't need, for some reason, for example the compactness, they don't reach the Passivhaus or EnerFit standard. The component criteria is, there's a component method which shows different component criteria, and this is one way to achieve directly, immediately, or in the long run, step by step, the EnerFit standard for retrofits. Alternatively, with the building, you achieve a very low space heating demand, and you get the seal EnerFit as well. As with passive houses, there exist different classes, so-called classic, plus and premium, depending on the amount of renewable energy that the Passivhaus or EnerFit retrofit is using. So even in the existing buildings retrofit, you enjoy all the advantages of Passivhaus components, which are thermal comfort, no mold growth, constantly fresh air, and a huge CO2 emission reduction. But the best for the owners is always the long-term financial profit. They save every year on the heating and cooling bills. All our certified components you can find in the Passivhaus database. There's a Passivhaus component database directly on our website, passivhaus.com. Here you will find opaque building envelope components like wall and construction systems, also transparent building envelope components like windows or skylights, and, which we will focus on in this presentation, solutions for building services. So for compact heat pump units that are so small that they can deliver for passive houses, which have a very low space heating and cooling demand, and also very typical for passive houses, ventilation systems. But there are also other savings systems that save, such as drain water heat recover. We use the heat from the shower water to preheat the cold water. The component database shows you the climate zone where this component is perfectly to be used, and the certificate with all the data that you need to plan your project. So for the energy balance, you can directly take the data from those certified components. And these are in the tool Passivhaus Planning Package, PHPP, from version 9 on. You have another advantage, which is you can put in the variant worksheet different options, different variants, and compare them. Or in the case of retrofits, put the existing building and then the different steps towards NFit all in one Excel file. You can switch between them, you can compare them, and you have all the data in it. The Passivhaus principle means highest energy efficiency, but it's also climate friendly, comfortable, healthy, economical, sustainable, and long lasting. For this to be achieved, components are the key. This is why the Passivhaus Institute certifies Passivhaus components. The Passivhaus recipe is as simple as a cake. You need people, planners, designers who are in the know of Passivhaus. Here we developed a training program with an exam at the end, and there are already a lot of certified Passivhaus designers in the market. The tool I just mentioned, PHPP, is accompanied by the 3D tool Design PH to make it even easier for architects to design and optimize buildings right from the start. Then the certified components, the key to successful realization of passive houses. And the craftspeople on site. There's also a training program which consists not only of theory, but also of practical knowledge. What is an air tightness tape and how do I have to paste it so it's long lasting? What is a blower door test and what do I have to do? With this, we achieve very beautiful buildings that can pass a third-party control by a Passivhaus certifier. The Passivhaus certifier does not necessarily need to go to the building site, but with all the documentation, information, photos provided by the planning team, can provide the seal certified Passivhaus. This has been implemented more than 1 million times already. So this is readily available on the market. And the key success factor, again, is the components. How does Passivhaus component certification work at the Institute? We help to improve existing components. So the manufacturer shows us his component and brings ideas how to make it Passivhaus suitable. The PHI, the Passivhaus Institute, then evaluates the component and checks if the criteria that are published on our website are met, yes or no. If yes, then we give the component the seal depending on the climate zone. So here, this is for the cool temperate climate, and it's a PHA, so it's in the A class of certified component. This is a very good component. As an example, a triple glazed window and an insulated frame. If the criteria are just not met, then the PHI makes suggestions so the manufacturer can improve the component and go for certification. In many cases, this way we have made the components better and were able to certify already more than 1,100 components. What about ventilation units for hot climates, certified from the Passivhaus Institute? The requirements, so the component criteria document you can get from our website. in case you have a component and are unsure about the criteria, please get in touch with us and we will send you the document. What we want is a very high heat recovery efficiency. So ideally, under certain boundary conditions that have to be measured in a laboratory. We want more than 70% of heat recovery. We want a very low electrical consumption of the unit. So in case the ventilation unit is running the whole year, it should not cost a lot of money to run it. And finally, we want to also have energy recovery, which means we also want to recover the humidity. And here the recommendation is a value of bigger than 60%. Then there are some additional recommendations like condensate connection at the supply air side, and to deal with night ventilation. So there must be a way to get around the heat recovery in the case you don't want it. So if you have a huge big temperature difference, so a temperature difference of more than 2 Kelvin between supply air side and the exterior outside air, then you might not want the heat recovery, but you welcome the cooler night air, and the ventilation system has to automatically respond to that. Luckily, we have the systems already, so they exist in the market. Here, an example of 2 units from the company Theumer. One is the ComfoAir Q350 heat recovery ventilation system, and the other one has a similar name, but it includes also an energy recovery, what I just mentioned. So as a special feature here, we have measured or got the measurements from the laboratories. We have measured under summer conditions. PHI has created criteria for this. For recooling, estimates are also included in the PHPP tool, so the energy balance is correct for the different climate zones where you want to design a passive house or use it in a retrofit. You just select the unit and it's incorporated directly in your energy balance calculation. Normally, the recooling value differs. So we have a difference between the two values of around 10%. Here it's a bit less because of in winter time, when you have the heat recovery, there is also some heat generated inside the unit, and this is nice to have, but in summer you don't want this heat. It's an internal load, and this is why the values actually differ a bit from winter and summertime. Everything has been already realized in Passive House standard, different building types, small, big, skyscrapers. Everything is economically reasonable and feasible, and we have various studies on it. Just as an example, a school building where the total life cycle costs are showing that they are perfect for this retrofit with Passive House components, because the additional investment cost for energy efficiency with Passive House components reduces significantly the operational costs. And the same was done for the retrofit of an office building here across the road in Darmstadt, with the additional advantage with the ventilation system. even at this busy main street, the noise outside from the traffic is reduced because people don't have to open the windows. They have always fresh air coming from the ventilation unit. In 2007, the first certified passive house in Mexico City in a moderate climate was built. But now there are more passive houses in Mexico, and a special feature of these ones is that they are all social housing. And also in the climates where they are built, they are typical warm or hot climates. And in the case of Nogales, even hot and humid. In this context, we studied around 600 different units in different climatic conditions and checked how to apply passive house components. The feedback from the local consultants is quality control is the key. Air tightness test pictures here, including a leakage search. So not only saying, yes, we meet we have a very low air tightness here, but also checking where are the leakages and can we even improve those. Quality control part 2, measuring the balance of the ventilation system. So not only install the equipment and then forget about it, but check that it's properly installed and that it runs as it is calculated. Components, components, components. So important to achieve a good passive house and long-lasting or a retrofit with passive house components. We have to ensure that in countries where passive house is new, that we have a supply chain established and we don't have to order products from far abroad and have waiting times and uncertainties. Many of the companies are readily available to collaborate with local partners and PHI is also available to collaborate with small and medium and not only large enterprises to have local manufactured products for passive houses. The experience with passive houses in Mexico is that it is possible to reach the passive house standard with the existing technologies in the Mexican market at that time. But we need more planning time, we need more time to implement it, and this has to be part of the process. You cannot neglect that. A good communication and site supervision is important, and the results are overwhelming. We have, of course, the huge benefits for our environment, but also comfort for the inhabitants. We provide a better product. We have excellent air quality, and next to the comfort, we save a lot of energy costs. So to show a first concept for the building services in a passive house, I think how to realize airtight and insulated thermal envelope is one part, but now I want to focus on how to heat, cool, and make domestic hot water in the passive houses. So this concept I show here, where you see an apartment is based on existing components that you can buy in your market. So we use a ventilation system. This ventilation system needs heat and moisture recovery to support cooling. It is installed that all the rooms get fresh air, and the used air is extracted from bathroom and kitchen. And we add separately a small split unit for cooling. We have the, as you know it, the inside unit and the outside unit of the split unit. This can be in the corridor directly at the wall, or alternatively on the roof. And what it does is it recirculates the air. So standard components. And then the first certified passive houses in Brazil were used this, but there was a separate presentation on it. Just so you know, here in the first certified passive house, the standard components are used. An alternative concept, I called it concept 2, is currently only available in China, where entire cities are built in passive house standard. So again, mechanical ventilation with heat and moisture recovery to support cooling. But then this is kind of integrated into the ventilation device. And a very new certified component is a heat pump combi system. I show you here 4 different companies. They all have certified products. We look at the first one, which is Aya Nova. So here we have a combination of a heat pump and ventilation system. So we have a certain fresh air volume rate, which is perfect for typical houses or apartments, that has a heat recovery rate listed here, a humidity recovery rate, and for the cooling effect, a recirculation rate. The second component is from the company Zehnder, but it's Zehnder Beijing. So again, this is available in China only. And the third company is a Chinese product from the company Zhongzhang Wonderful Thermal Technology. It does the same, it's a heat pump combi system. And the last one I want to show you is from also from China. Hebei Lowcarn is the name of the company. And these pictures show how the units look inside. So you can see the size of the unit is large enough to have a proper heat recovery rate that meets the Passivhaus Institute requirements. And they are not too big, so they can be installed in a passive house and do not take so much space. PHI is looking out for cooperation with local laboratories all over the world. And if you want to know more about the testing procedures and quality criteria, please get in contact with the Passivhaus Institute. More information is available on our website passipedia.org, and there you can get flip books about retrofitting, fitting ventilation systems into existing buildings. You can find examples, criteria, and the different projects that are funded by the European Union are also available. So please have a look. And as a conclusion, I would like to say Passivhaus components are the key. Passivhaus is the most cost-efficient option for construction. Quality assurance is very important, and Passivhaus components are simple, energy efficient, and reliable for the use in Passivhaus new builds, but also for deep retrofits. Choose the correct component solution for your specific project according to the design tool PHPP. And here, once you select your climate, your city, then the PHPP will guide you to the component solution. Use the knowledge readily available in Portuguese to realize passive houses and EnerFit retrofits, which are retrofits with Passivhaus components in Brazil. We needed to do a proper climate protection. Let's do it together. Many thanks for your attention.